Right now, it's feel cold, indifference, weird, like awkward. Sophie, entirely different person than I met before.
When you've been nice to me, I forgot about all the bad memories. And so we slept together.
They've been hookups, and she never told me they did hookup before. What the we doing here?
She said it straight to his face. The divorce is not finalized. And yes, she admitted she slept with her ex while she was building something new with Pedro. That moment changed everything in this relationship. You could feel the room freeze when the truth came out. Pedro was not ready for that bomb. And honestly, most viewers were not ready either. Let that sink in. After 4 months of romantic talks, expensive gifts, flowers every week, and big promises about family, this is the truth sitting in the middle of the conversation. Sophie confessed that her ex called her at 4 a.m. from a different number. She picked up. Old emotions got triggered. And things crossed a line again. That single admission shifted the entire tone of their relationship. What happens when trust breaks before commitment even fully starts? Now rewind a little. Before this explosion, things looked hopeful on the surface. Pedro had invested heavy energy into Sophie. He spent around $2,000 on a necklace during their first in-person meeting. Think about that. First date. Big money. Big expectations. He also sent flowers and love notes weekly. He made it clear he saw long-term potential. He talked about wanting kids. He talked about building a future. Sophie, on the other hand, was moving slower. She liked the attention. She liked the romance. But she also kept emotional distance. She said she did not want to rush into anything serious. She wanted time. She wanted space. That created quiet tension between them from the start. So the foundation already had cracks. One person was fully committed mentally. The other was unsure and still attached to her past. Then comes the trip to the Dominican Republic. Friends around. Cameras rolling. Pressure building. Pedro tries to impress. He arranges transportation. He prepares for quality time. He expects progress in the relationship. Instead, he gets a confession about unfinished divorce paperwork and secret physical contact with an ex. That shift hit hard. And now the biggest question hangs in the air. If Sophie was still emotionally connected to her ex, why start something serious with Pedro in the first place? And wait till you hear how Pedro reacted after hearing everything. That reaction says more than words ever could. Pedro did not enter this situation casually. He invested early. He invested loud. He invested with money and emotion. That $2,000 necklace was not just a gift. It sent a message. It created expectation. When someone spends that kind of money on a first real meeting, it shifts the power balance instantly. It says, I see a future with you. It also quietly says, I expect commitment in return. That gift became a symbol. Fans talked about it. Sophie reacted with shock and gratitude. But underneath the excitement, pressure started building. Because once something that expensive enters a relationship early, it becomes hard to ignore. It raises questions about motive. Was it love, attraction, or an attempt to secure loyalty fast? Pedro did not stop there. He sent flowers weekly. He wrote notes. He maintained contact across distance. Consistency like that creates emotional dependence over time. When someone shows up repeatedly with affection, the other person starts relying on that reassurance. Sophie admitted she felt treated well. She enjoyed the romance. She liked how attentive he was. But here is the tension. While Pedro was moving forward with clarity, Sophie was still processing her past. She had unfinished divorce paperwork. Her ex was calling. Old feelings resurfaced during moments of vulnerability. That creates confusion inside someone. One foot is stepping into a new relationship. The other foot is stuck in history. That split energy affects decisions. It affects loyalty. It affects clarity. Pedro interpreted her mixed signals as hesitation, not as unresolved attachment. That difference matters. When one partner invests heavily and the other is unsure, a silent power imbalance forms. Pedro felt like he was leading. He planned. He expressed long-term goals. He talked about family. Sophie listened but did not fully mirror that future vision. She responded with caution. That gap creates pressure. Watch how that imbalance explodes later when expectations collide. From an outside perspective, Pedro's behavior looks intense. Some people might say he moved too fast, spending money early, talking about kids early, introducing seriousness early, but from his perspective, he was acting based on strong feelings. He believed clarity and effort would secure the relationship. Sophie's behavior looks different. She accepted gifts. She accepted attention. But emotionally, she kept scanning for reassurance. She did not fully close the door on her past while stepping into something new. That creates instability, and instability leads to doubt. Pedro starts feeling like he is giving more than he is receiving. He expresses vulnerability. He says he wants a family. He says he sees her as someone special, but he does not feel fully secure because her past keeps appearing in conversations. So here's the real question. Can a relationship survive when one person is all in and the other is still emotionally negotiating? That tension grows stronger once they meet in person during the trip. Because physical presence increases expectations. Touch, eye contact, public display, friends watching, and when outsiders start observing your relationship, the imbalance becomes visible. Wait until you see how that pressure changes the energy between them in front of everyone. The moment they step into Pedro's circle, the tone shifts. It moves from private conversations to public observation. Sophie walks into a space where eyes follow her. His friends sit there watching. No big smiles, no loud welcome, just silent scanning. That alone makes anyone feel exposed. She later said it felt like walking into a job interview. That feeling tells you everything. She is not there as a random guest. She is there as the person linked to Pedro. The label follows her into the room. People are not just judging her personality, they are judging her role in his life. Pedro feels it too, but in a different way. He stands there aware that his friends are evaluating his choice. When friends meet a partner, they often look for red flags. They look for signs of mismatch. Pedro understands that pressure. He wants approval. He wants validation that he chose wisely. Sophie's body language changes fast. She laughs lightly but keeps distance. She glances at her friends for comfort. She moves closer to them instead of fully leaning into Pedro. That shift signals discomfort. It does not automatically mean rejection. It means anxiety. It means she feels watched. Public settings amplify everything. In private, small misunderstandings stay contained. In public, every micro-expression feels magnified. If someone pulls away slightly, people notice. If someone hesitates before answering, people interpret it. Pedro tries to act confident. He introduces her. He explains their connection. But you can sense slight tension in his tone. He wants his friends to see stability. Instead, they see uncertainty. Some stay quiet. Others joke lightly, maybe testing the energy. Sophie picks up on that hesitation. And when people feel judged, they often retreat emotionally. That retreat creates distance. Distance then looks like disinterest, and disinterest fuels more doubt. Watch how one awkward interaction can shift the entire mood of the night. They move to the rooftop area. Music plays. Drinks are poured. It should feel relaxed. But even on the dance floor, tension lingers. Sophie dances, but she stays cautious about physical closeness. Pedro moves closer, trying to reconnect. The chemistry is there, but so is hesitation. His friends watch again. Cameras capture reactions. That awareness alone changes behavior. No one acts fully natural when they know they are being observed for approval. Public validation becomes a silent test. If friends approve, the relationship gains strength. If friends question it, insecurity grows. Right now, approval feels uncertain. And that uncertainty pushes the tension higher before the biggest secret of the night even surfaces. And just wait, because the conversation that follows completely changes the direction of everything. The night shifts when the conversation turns personal. Pedro asks a direct question about her divorce. He wants clarity. He wants to know if the past is officially closed. Sophie hesitates. Then she admits the paperwork is not finalized. That alone creates silence between them. He reacts with confusion, not anger at first, confusion. Because from his perspective, starting something serious with someone who is still legally tied to an ex feels risky. He thought the chapter was closing. Instead, it feels like it is still open. Then the deeper truth comes out. Her ex called at 4 a.m. from another number. She answered. The call pulled old emotions back to the surface, and after that call, boundaries broke. She admits she slept with her ex. That statement lands heavy. You can see Pedro processing it in real time. His facial expression changes, his posture tightens, his silence speaks louder than words. This is not just about physical contact. This is about information that was never shared while they were building trust. Trust depends on transparency. When key details stay hidden for months, the discovery feels like betrayal even if the actions happened during confusion. Pedro asks a simple question in frustration. What are we doing here? That question reflects disappointment. He invested money. He invested emotion. He introduced her to his future vision. And now he learns that during the same period, her connection to her ex was still active. The hurt comes from timing and omission. From a relationship psychology angle, situations like this trigger insecurity because the new partner starts questioning where they stand. If someone returns to an ex during the early stage of a new relationship, it creates doubt about priority. Was the new relationship stable, or was it competing with unfinished feelings? Sophie explains herself. She says she loved her ex at one point. She says emotions do not disappear overnight. She says when he treated her kindly, it reminded her of good memories. In that moment, vulnerability led to physical intimacy. That explanation shows emotional confusion, not necessarily malicious intent. People sometimes reconnect with familiar pain because closure is incomplete. That does not automatically mean they were planning to hurt someone else. But intention does not erase impact. Pedro hears the explanation, but understanding motivation does not instantly repair trust. He now has to process two realities at once. 1, she was still emotionally tied to someone else. 2, he was moving forward believing he had exclusivity. Both things cannot exist comfortably together. He also questions why he was not told earlier. That omission matters as much as the action itself. Transparency builds safety. Silence builds suspicion. Sophie looks overwhelmed too. She knows revealing the truth risks the relationship. But hiding it longer would create bigger damage later. She chose honesty at the worst possible moment instead of earlier prevention. Still, accountability remains. Emotional confusion explains behavior. It does not erase responsibility for communication. The room feels heavier now. Friends sense the tension, cameras capture the shock. And Pedro sits there forced to decide whether this is something he can forgive or something that changes everything. And just when you think the confrontation has reached its peak, wait until you see what happens after he walks away from that conversation. After this episode aired, social media exploded. Clips of Sophie admitting the hookups spread fast. Comment sections filled up within hours. People were choosing sides like this was a courtroom debate. A big group of viewers backed Pedro. They said he invested money. He invested time. He talked about a future. And they felt he deserved full transparency before committing emotionally. Many fans pointed at the $2,000 necklace and asked why someone would accept that level of commitment while still sorting out an ex. Others defended Sophie. They argued emotions after a long relationship do not disappear overnight. They said healing is messy. Some viewers felt she made a mistake, but they believe she owned up to it instead of hiding it forever. The conversation online turned into a power debate. Was Pedro overreacting or protecting himself? Was Sophie wrong for the hookup or honest for admitting it? People analyzed every facial expression from that rooftop scene. They replayed the moment she said the words. They examined his silence. Some fans focused on the timing. They asked why the divorce paperwork was not finalized before starting something serious. Others said legal status and emotional closure are not always aligned. That split created more arguments in comment sections. What stood out most in reactions was trust. Viewers kept saying trust is fragile. Once someone learns about secrets after investing deeply, doubt grows fast. Do you think Pedro should forgive her after hearing everything? Or is this type of secret too big to move past? Some fans predicted a breakup. Others believed pressure from friends and family might push them to try again. Online discussions also questioned motives behind the expensive gift. Was it genuine love or early pressure to lock in loyalty? That question kept coming back in every thread. People also asked something direct. If roles were reversed, would the reaction be the same? Would you stay in a relationship if your partner revealed they slept with their ex during your early dating stage? The debate continues. And the next episode hints at even more tension building behind closed doors. Everything that happened in that rooftop conversation changed the direction of their relationship. The truth about the divorce paperwork, the late-night call from the ex, the confession about sleeping together. All of it stacked on top of the pressure that already existed between them. Trust moved from stable to fragile in a single night. When secrets surface after commitment starts forming, the foundation shakes. Pedro now has to ask himself one hard question. Can he rebuild confidence in someone who hid key details while they were growing closer? If trust does not get repaired, distance follows. Communication becomes careful instead of open. Conversations turn into accusations or defensive responses. Small disagreements start carrying the weight of past mistakes. That pattern slowly pushes couples apart even if attraction still exists. A breakup would feel like a reaction to broken expectations. Pedro invested emotionally and financially. He imagined a future. But if he feels like he was walking toward exclusivity while Sophie was still closing doors with her past, resentment could grow. Resentment is quiet at first, then it becomes louder over time. Reconciliation is possible, but it would need clear boundaries. Sophie would have to fully close the chapter with her ex, complete the divorce, block access, stop any hidden communication. Transparency would need to replace uncertainty. Pedro would need proof through actions, not just promises. Even if they choose to stay together, rebuilding trust takes consistency. One apology does not erase one secret. It requires repeated honesty and patience from both sides. Right now, their future feels uncertain. The chemistry is still there. The emotional connection has not disappeared. But doubt sits between them. And in the next episode, things escalate even further when outside opinions and new information force them to make a final decision about whether this relationship survives or collapses under pressure. What happens when someone from the past shows up again at the worst possible moment? That moment might decide everything.